It's now June 2022 and we're about 2 years into this ammo shortage, and primers are still extremely hard to find, especially American-made primers. Of course, I would much prefer to use American-made primers like CCI, Winchester, but they're nowhere to be found. So about 1.5 years ago, I ordered some Bosnian primers, but what came in about 8 months later were not what I expected, but some Russian-made primers from a company called Murom. I knew nothing about Murom, and they definitely were not my first choice, but my choice was to use these Murom primers or have nothing. So I went ahead and gave them a try, and in this video I'll tell you how they worked out for me. I'll show my evaluation of the Murom primers by measuring bullet velocities, showing on video how they shot. I'll comment on how easily they inserted into primer pockets during reloading, and I'll have some additional comments. I made 2 samples, 7 rounds each of 9mm Luger loads. One used Murom primers and the other Federal primers. You can see the load data here. The 2 samples were identical except for the primers. This table summarizes my equipment and range conditions when I chronographed the 2 samples. Here's the measured velocities. They were close to the same for both samples, which indicates the Murom and Federal primers produced about the same chamber pressures. When shooting, I couldn't tell any difference in recoil, sound, cycling, or brass ejection, as you'll see in the following videos. I've actually been using the Murom small pistol primers for about 1 year and have loaded a total of about 2,000 so far. I shot about 1,000, half in 9mm Luger and half in .45 ACP, and I don't recall a single misfire or problem shooting them, and this includes shooting in some IDPA matches when you certainly don't want a failure. I have noticed 2 minor differences with them relative to American-made primers though. When I was priming the brass cases with the Murom primers, they felt like they were a little tighter fit. They required a little more force to push into the primer pocket. And I've talked to some other friends who also reloaded some of the Murom primers, and they all mentioned the same thing. So the diameter of the Murom primers may be just slightly bigger, and they do fit, but it's a little bit of a tighter fit. Another difference I noticed between the Murom primers compared to the CCI primers, which are the primers I mainly used, is that the Murom primers are packaged with the anvil side, the open side, faced up, whereas the CCI primer have the anvil side face down. So when you have to transfer the primers from the box into the primer tray, it's easier to get the CCI primers oriented correctly, but you have to shake the Murom primers a little bit longer to get them all to flip over so they're in the correct orientation to fit into the priming device. So in conclusion, based on my experience, the Murom primers worked fine. If American primers are available, I would certainly buy the American primers, and I much prefer that. But if nothing else is available and all you have are the Murom primers, they work fine. Finally, I'll mention that I'm an NRA certified reloading instructor. So if you know of anyone interested in taking the basic NRA reloading course, have them go to the 2 websites I have listed here. I teach NRA basic loading once a month, and if you live within 400 miles of Tahlequah, Oklahoma, I may be the only NRA certified instructor available to you.